You know, I was looking for something sweet and I didn't have anything already made, so I looked around to see what do I have that I can go ahead and make and just satisfy that sweet tooth. When I looked around, the one thing I can do is a cheesecake. Now, I'm not going to make a traditional graham cracker crust, what I've decided to do, because once again, I'm working with what I have on hand. I have my springform pan. This is a 9-inch. I'm going to go ahead and use a crushed nut bottom. I need a cup of flour, and I'm making this so that my sister can eat it as well. So I am using gluten-free flour. Then I need a heaping half a cup, and then I need 1 cup of butter. And since I just did this at the last minute, I went ahead and cut up the butter, put the oven on at 350, and put this on top toward the back, and I'm basically melting it down so that I can mix all this together for the crust. Then we're going to bake it for 15 minutes. I'm going to take this off for now until we get this in. We're going to start with the butter. And I'm going to stir that up. Then we're going to add in the nuts. Now that we have it mixed, we need to put it into our springform pan. And what I've done is I've put some parchment paper at the bottom, and then I took butter and I brushed it all along the outside. Then we're going to take this and we're going to put it into the bottom. Now this recipe was for a 9 by 13, so it may be a little bit too much. I may be able to have 2. Let's go ahead. I'm just going to put it in, and we're going to play this by ear. Sometimes when you're making stuff up as you go, sometimes what I do is I take another recipe and I'll divide it out and I'll make something new. So with this, just hold it down and continue to move it around. What I could have done is I could have put another parchment paper on top, and then I could have used my hands to spread it around instead of doing it the hard way. But sometimes we do it the hard way and we learn from that, hopefully. And then we're able to do something different the next time. Now what I do want to do, it looks like it's going to be enough. I'm going to bring this up the edges so that it's not directly just at the edge. I want it to be up the cheesecake a little bit. All right. All right, I'm sure it's ready to come out now. Now, this recipe actually went for a 9x13 pan, and because I put it into a 9-inch springform pan, I had to bake it longer. So in a 9x13, it would normally only take like 15 minutes, but I had to add an additional, I would say, probably 10 minutes. So instead of 15, it was probably about closer to 25 at 350. It actually is setting up now. It looks fine. And the next thing we got to do is make the cream cheese mixture that's going to go into this form pan. I'm using 2 8-ounce softened cream cheese, and a half cup of sugar. And we're going to mix that up first. Now we're going to add in 3 eggs. I'm going to do one at a time. And before I add that last one in, I want to scrape down the sides. Because I don't want any lumps. I want it to be nice and smooth. Now the last one. And the batter is nice and smooth now. Now the cheesecake is in the oven. It's at 350 degrees. This recipe originally was for mini cheesecakes that go in cupcake pans, but I'm using a springform pan and it's going to take a little longer. So I set it for 15 minutes and we're going to take a look at it and see what it looks like after that amount of time. We're going to check on it to see where it's at. It's still real jiggly, so it's going to need quite a bit more time than that. I'm putting it on for an additional 20 minutes. That'll give us 35 minutes, and we'll see if it's done at that point. All right, let's take a look at this and see what it looks like. You can see it's starting to set up. See where it's still kind of wiggly in the middle? So I would say we need to give this an additional, let's say 15 minutes. All right, let's take this out. All right, it took a total of about 50 minutes to bake completely. And what I did, just to make sure that the very center is totally done, I turned the oven off and I put the cheesecake back in, and I'm letting the oven cool down with the cheesecake in there. That way it'll guarantee me that if there is a little bit in the very center that is still not quite done, then it's going to be just fine. Now, anytime you're creating a recipe or you're changing a recipe, it's going to take a little bit of trial, sometimes failure, sometimes it works out, but you have to be patient. And like with me, I worked with what I had, and it's going to be great. I know it'll be fine. I just had to adjust the time a little bit because it was originally set up for 2 different recipes first. Second, the cheesecake part was for cupcake pans and not for a springform pan. Now, the one thing that I did learn is that definitely if you're using that nut cookie crumb crust, then you need to make sure that you have foil on the bottom. You have to have it sealed so that none of that butter leaks out of the springform pan and onto the bottom of your oven, because I had to put the fan on, open the window, because some of the butter had gotten on the bottom of the oven, and you know what a disaster that is. So that's one thing I learned as well. But once this cools off, I'm going to go ahead and release it from the springform pan, and you're going to get to see the result, and we're going to taste it. It's got beautiful texture, a nice crust on the bottom. So now we're going to taste it. It was definitely worth the wait. It is really like smooth. There's no lumpiness. The cookie crust, that's really different. Now, what I would do on top of here is add a little bit of whipped cream, or maybe some strawberries, or some cooked blueberries, or some raspberries. I could go on and on and on and on. Cheesecake is one of my favorite desserts, and this one can be yours too, because I've gone through all of the steps and figured out what's what. So the next time you're looking for something, go through your cabinets, go through your fridge, go through recipes and figure out what you have and what you can make. It's kind of fun. You just have to experiment. You're going to like this.